Shalom, on itself, souls by giving all praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, El Shah, Ba'ashem, Kadash. Double honors to the Apostle Great Most, and honors to you brothers doing the work of the Most High in truth and in sincerity. Yahweh's real name, of whom the world ignorantly calls God, Jehovah, or Yahweh. His real name is Yahweh. His son's street name is Yahweh Shai, and on pray Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Birming in, Herming Dan Sham, meaning names Yahweh and the name of Yahweh Shai. You're gonna see where the spirit leads. But this is the topic of the week or whatever you want to frame it as. And there are a few takeaways from this video. Very would you call it? Certain things you can kind of look at, man. One thing, man. Hey, fuck this vocab guy, man. I'll just put it like that, man. You can really see as he's getting and F all of you that hold hand in hand with him. Right, let's grab that. Wipe the dust of this one. Where is this? This is Proverbs 11:21. It says, "Though hand join in hand, the wicked shall not be unpunished." Right. So yeah, go on this show. Right. Go on this show. But guess what? You ain't gonna save vocab. You ain't gonna save any of these Edomites. Right. Once again, you just gonna be back in the kingdom. Right, as in these two, like you back in the kingdom, you gonna look back at this little testimony you did, and you're gonna be like, damn, I went on that devil's platform. Now, it ain't saying that in any kind of defense of the IUIC, the IUIC too. And as the apostles say, they're gonna be elect among them, right? Those elect will go come out, right? But F the IUIC, because they teach wickedly against the name of the Lord. They don't show any respect to the name of the Lord. So the Lord is going to destroy the IUIC. Okay. So, even just like watching this and listening to this, you can really see why you can really see it really does surface a lot of the mess, in the IUIC and everything. But once again, when you're just watching the glee in this devil's face, man. There was especially like when they were talking about the book. Let's see, is this way? No, he looks. I mean, just look at that, man. He's just happy. He's everything he's hearing. He's salivating at it, right? He's people not understanding that they're going, to the enemy, right? It's Proverbs 11:21. Or rather, the Most High took that away from them. Okay, it says, "Though hand join in hand, the wicked shall not be unpunished, but the seed of the righteous shall be delivered." So Proverbs 11:21 again. Okay, so yeah. So once again, there was a lot of different things, a lot of different it was a lot of different things that were just kind of coming up, from this stream. That first bit, F this guy. Right, the Lord is gonna, is gonna do away with him. Right, Haman Malone. Right, in fact, let's what do you call it? Read into Haman. What was it? Was it the gallows? Let me see. Because this is it. We celebrate. The destruction of Haman and his family. Okay. Why? Because he was a thorn, and that's it. These Edomites have always been a thorn to the Israelites. And what was he doing? He was basically coming up against Israel, plotting against Israelites, right? Such that they but long story short, the Lord basically put what he had planned up on his own head. Which makes me think of this. Let's grab this as well. This is Psalms. Where is that? Psalm 7:15. It's not 7:15, is it? Okay, it wants to be slow now. Yeah, Psalm 7:15. He made a pit and digged it, and is fallen into the ditch which he made. Okay, so everything, that vocab is supposing to happen to us, right? It's going to happen to him. Okay, so let's. So I just wanted to jump straight to the point. Yeah, so I mean, Haman is hanged. That looks pretty much straight to the point, right? It's Esther 7:7. Once again, we celebrate this to this day. Every year, we celebrate Purim. as basically victory over our enemies, right? So Esther 7:7 says, and the king, arising from the banquet of wine in his wrath, went into the palace garden, and Haman stood up to make request for his life to Esther the queen, for he saw that there was evil determined against him by the king. Then the king returned out of the palace garden into the palace of the banquet of wine, and Haman was fallen upon the bed whereon Esther was. Then said the king, will he force the queen also before me in the house? As the word went out of the king's mouth, they covered Haman's face. So once again, Lord set him up. Lord set him up. Because the whole plan that Haman had, this was like the cherry on top. So Haman, he goes, oh, let me go and beg Esther. Let me go beg Esther. And then the king walks in and he's like, raw, so you're on my wife's bed as well. Okay. Let's read that again. Then said the king, will he force the queen also before me in the house? As the word went out of the king's mouth, they covered it's got covered balls, permanent. No, it looks like just cover Haman's face. And Harbona, one of the chamberlains, said before the king, behold, also the gallows 50 cubits high, which Haman had made for Mordecai, who had spoken good for the king, standeth in the house of Haman. Then the king said, hang him thereon. So they hanged Haman on the gallows that he had prepared for Mordecai. Then was the king's wrath pacified. And we can't wait till the Lord pacify his wrath, right, against Haman Malone. Okay, he's always trying to. What does it say as well? It was in Ezra. Build with us. It's Ezra 4. Yep. So it's Ezra 4. And from the top says, now when the adversaries of Judah and Benjamin heard that the children of the captivity builded the temple unto Yahweh, power of Israel, and this devil here, he's an adversary, right, of our nation. He's an adversary of our nation, man. Okay, and then you got these knuckleheads, but happily going up to speak with the devil. As we read in Proverbs, though hand join in hand, right, the wicked shall not be unpunished. So it says, so verse 2, right, Ezra 4:2 says, then they came to Zerubbabel and to the chief of the fathers and said unto them, let us build with you, for we seek your power, as ye do, and we do sacrifice unto him since the days of Esarhaddon, king of Assur, which brought us up hither. Let me grab this, worship. Right, this is John 4:22. In fact, I'll read into it. I'll jump to the point. So John 4 from 19. The woman said unto him, Sir, I perceive that thou art a prophet. Our fathers worshipped in this mountain, and ye say that in Jerusalem is the place where men ought to worship. Yahushua saith unto her, Woman, believe me, the hour cometh when ye shall neither in this mountain nor yet at Jerusalem worship the Father. Ye worship ye know not what. We know what we worship, for salvation is of the Jews. And that's one thing, whether this Edomite or not gets it, whether these Israelites over here want to accept it, but these heathen nations, they've got nothing to do with us. That's one of the basics of the scriptures, which really show, despite the fact that this individual was supposedly an officer. I mean, how do you go from an officer to not even believe in the basics of the scripture? It just really shows that the Most High wasn't dealing with this guy. Okay, the Most High wasn't dealing with this guy. And he once again, he was supposed to be some kind of in some kind of position of leadership. So let's carry on. Ezra 4:3 says, but Zerubbabel and Jeshua and the rest of the chief of the fathers of Israel said unto them, Ye have nothing to do with us, right, to build an house unto our power, but we ourselves together will build unto Yahweh power of Israel, as King Cyrus the king of Persia hath commanded us. And it's the same now. These heathens, right, vocab being a major thorn, right? They're trying to get all up in. You can't get up in here because the bricks have already been set. Right, the bricks to the temple, they've already been set, and the Lord hath ordained each brick from the foundation of the earth. Right, and all of those bricks are Israelites, also known as the elect, also known as the remnant. Right, they're Israelites, not no damn heathens, man. Right, and one of the things that this Kevin guy goes on and says, it's just like, oh yeah, my best friend was white, right? But that's where the lack of because the thing is, he may have been what do you call it? He could that his friend could legit have just been an Israelite foreigner. I'll be honest, don't fully remember the IUIC stance on the Israelite foreigners. His friend could have legit just been an Israelite foreigner, right? And that's it. But it's like, right, so you gonna chuck away salvation for a white boy? That's crazy. That's crazy. Okay, but one of the things as well that I noticed, especially like when the comments, the live comments, was the chat replay was playing, was just this real, like this soft Queen of Heaven worship that was all throughout this video, right? In the comments and stuff like that. Okay. Oh, but women, even this snake here, this serpent here, was prodding that, and that was another thing I wanted to talk about as well. Just the fact he was asking a lot of leading questions. Right. This is a leading question. Right. It's a question that prompts or encourages the answer wanted. So when you're watching the way he's asking some of these questions, you're basically hearing him, the way he's framing the questions. In fact, let's do this. Let's do transcript, because I don't know what this what this devil is going to do. Let me see, in terms of like copyright, because I don't, we're in the UK, I don't know if the fair use stuff works in the same way. I'm trying to search in here, so like bear with me. Just trying to find an example. There'll be more. I was trying to get an example. Damn. Because I remember some. I remember some, but when you watch it, you get it before I end up. I mean, this is an example. It wasn't exactly the example I was looking for, but you see, it's Kevin. When you're an IUIC, if you could think back, what did you think of the future? That wasn't really a great example, and stuff. But like, for instance, one of the ones I remember, he was asking, in fact, red light. Right, so there's this one here, Slurk it, but it's like just having a look. Is what women are just speak straight. Okay, well, I don't know what that. No, I don't know this comment. I don't know about that here. Let me share. Here's a comment I wanted to ask. You don't have to answer if you don't want to. Did you ever sleep on the floor because you were on your cycle? Okay, and it's even like, and once again, that's why I say that this guy's just soft, right? That's why I say this guy's soft, because it's just like, no man is asking my woman what she does on her moon. That ain't happening. So he's basically asking, about the whole, because when you, according to the law, IUIC are all about the law, the law, the law, the law, Okay, when you look at the law, really, a woman, if she's on the moon, isn't supposed to be around. She's supposed to have her own quarters and stuff. Okay, but he was asking that in the hopes that she would be like, yes, yes, he'll be like, yes, I've got them, mate, put a more of a spotlight. Which is why I say this guy's just a snake. Okay, this guy's just a snake, and that's why you should have no dealings with this individual. Now, was information brought out in this that just it's just like, right, is that really what's going on in the IUIC? Yes. Okay, but these guys didn't have to go on this man's platform to do so. But Scripture says, all things can do nothing against the truth before the truth. Okay, because it is more of a spotlight, being shone on the IYC. Right, which is why apparently Nate was angry about the whole situation, right? But that's one thing to certainly an argument technique. Just being careful, right? If you're being interrogated, arguing with someone or whatever, when people are doing a lot of this asking leading questions, right? Because if really there was he was being genuine, but by the way, were there any did you have to do anything differently when you were ceremonially unclean, right? Even if you want, even you could argue that's a bit leading and stuff like that, but even then it's like it's a much cleaner question than the way he's framed it. But what we can't be surprised, he's the devil. Okay, so yeah, that's it on that. So the point I wanted to get right as well is just like with in the comment board, when you're looking at the live comments, one of the things that you see is it's just a whole load of woman worship, man, right? And this is the thing, it's like, yeah, we grew up in this world, right? We grew up in this Western world where there's a lot of reverence, right, put upon the woman, but at the end of the day, right, she's just a woman, right? She's just a woman. So let's grab this actually. This is no, not that one. Yeah, this one's lucky. It was 11. Right, so Luke 11:27 says, and it came to pass as he spake these things, right, a certain woman of the company lifted up her voice and said unto him, blessed is the womb that bare thee, and the paps which thou hast sucked. But he said, yea, rather, blessed are they that hear the word of the Most High and keep it. Right, so even then you had individuals that were trying to push that whole that woman worship thing. Now women have a role in this society, so in the world, let me put it like that. Women have a role, right, as defined in the scriptures, right? But this world very much tries to really it pushes them against their role, right? Because their role is to be under subjection, but this world pushes. This is Jeremiah 31:22 says, how long will thou go about, O thou backsliding daughter? For Yahweh hath created a new thing in the earth, a woman shall compass a man. And that's what you see. That's one of the ethoses in this world. Okay, pushing the worship of the woman, right? Pushing equality, which there ain't no equality amongst anything, right? The Lord is all about order, and that's another thing that kind of was coming up, and then also the whole things about appearances, right? These guys all about being appearances. Oh, we can't let them look weak. Hey, look, man, Yahushua dipped. Yahushua did. Or instances, Yahushua just dipped from the crowd, right? At the end of the day, man, this thing of ours we ain't sent out there to be hard men, right? Scripture says that we were sent as sheep, right, among wolves. This is Matthew. What am I saying? What's the precept I'm thinking of? So my mind's blanking out. Let me grab this as well. Right? Grab this instead. It's Matthew 10:16. Behold, I send you. Yeah, this is why didn't it come up? That's what I searched. Yeah. Matthew 10:16, behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be ye therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves. And that's it. Okay, we're supposed to be, just our thing is the truth. Now, once again, if someone wants to come up against us, that's a different story. However, we don't instigate anything. We just go out there, we teach, we do what we do, and then that's it. So, there are quite a few things. I think if I did like what's the thing called, man? Like a response, you could go into more into different things in this video that was done, but what was said and stuff like that. But really, me personally, when I look at this cat, man, he's just soft, right? F this vocab guy. Right, the IUIC is a mess, and the Lord is gonna, put an end to the IUIC. It's only a matter of time, right? We all witness what the Lord is doing, with all these camps, right, where people are being exposed, right? People in positions of leadership are being exposed, like they go into how, in 2018, a whole load of them left, right, because of what was, what came out was happening. And also, just the last thing is like, why spend so, this was like 6 years ago, right? Why come back now and be like, oh, so this guy probably like, yeah, man, if you have your story, man, I'll pay you some money, right? Because how many views has this got? 7,400 views. So he's making a whole load of money off of this video, right? So he's like, yeah, man, yeah, I'm gonna hook you up as well. So. Yeah, man. Let's just close off with that one again. Okay, it says Proverbs 21:11. It's not 21:11. What was it? What did we read? Snap! I can't spell. 11 and 21, Salaki, I had it mixed on, right? Proverbs 11:21, though hand join in hand, the wicked shall not be unpunished, but the seed of the righteous shall be delivered. So as always, Lord, I was edifying till next time we say Shalom.